This is a Dinosaurus skull, and 3 vertebrae and a couple of ribs and a few other assorted bones that were removed from the ground earlier this year. And since we brought them in from the field, we've removed the plaster jacket that protected them when we were taking them in, and I've already prepared out one side of the bones. And at this stage, what we're trying to do is remove the matrix, the rock matrix, from around the bones and get underneath them so that we can actually lift them out and start putting them back together again as they're supposed to be. We used a cast cutter similar to what a doctor uses to cut cast off a broken arm to remove the plaster from the rock. And after that, we used small hand tools with a sharp needle, in this case a carbide tip, to slowly scrape away all of the rock. And we've used some quick-setting glue to repair any of the shattered and cracked parts of the bone in the rock. At this stage, I've pretty much figured out where all the bones are lying, unless there's something else hidden right underneath here. And what I'm trying to do is just plane off a little bit of rock at a time, sort of working in towards the bones and trying not to bust the tip. And slowly move down around each of the bones. Eventually what I'll do is start tunneling under each of the bones and leaving it similar to the way it would sit out in the field when you're jacketing it like this. You cut all the rock away from the top of the bone, go in sideways and then underneath it, and eventually all these bones will be sitting on little pedestals. I'll be able to tap that rock out from underneath them and free them. Well, I think we brought this in November, and I spent the better part of November, December, and January just doing this little bit here. And most of this work was actually done under the binocular microscope, probably using about a 40 power lens on it. So that's 8 hours a day for about 3 months. Slow going. You can see a lot of tiny little struts of bone running through here, and lots of little cavities and holes. And actually, when we're preparing something like this, if I was to try and mount it on a little pad and just scratch at it with a needle, it'd just fall apart. So what we've got to do is embed the entire specimen in this stuff called carbo wax, which is water soluble, and it stabilizes the entire specimen. And it can take a lot more brutal sort of manhandling with a needle, and if you make a big mistake and you knock a piece off, it's not going to go dropping down some big hole or something. It's a lot more forgiving, and so you can prepare out a real small, complicated bone like this as it's embedded in the wax. And when you're finally done with most of the preparation, you can take the specimen and put it in water and dissolve away the wax, and you're left with a freestanding piece with all the little fragile details still in